Hello everybody, this is Kiran and today we are going to learn more topics on SQL, beginning with how to define the keys in SQL. So in MySQL we have studied about the different types of keys in the previous sessions, which were ranging from super key to candidate, primary, alternate keys, foreign keys and unique keys. So today we'll see how do we define these keys when we are actually creating our table. So to do that, let's move forward with the session and see what's in store. So we have seen this diagram in the previous session also about how different keys can be understood. I'm not repeating that, but let's see that how can we define primary key. Very important, we must be having one primary key in all the tables which we are using. So to have primary key, we need to have a column defined as the primary key. Okay, so to do that, while we are creating the table, we know how to create a table. Create table and table name. So taking this example, create table and let's say the table name is department. Then we'll define all the column names along with the data types which they are belonging to, and then whichever column we want to mark it as the primary key will be we have to mention the primary key keyword in front of them. Example, like department DEPT-ID, which will be of int type. Then we are writing int, then space primary key. So that's a keyword that will make that column as the primary key once the table is successfully created. Now second column name is name, which is of Wildcard type. And let's say we don't want it to be null. We mandatorily want all the names to be entered. So we can create it as a not null column. So the keyword is not null. Okay. And let's say the third column is address, which again we don't want to have any null entries. So we have to mention the address and then space the data type, which is varchar. And then there is a whatever number of length we want to specify it to, and then not null, and then closing the bracket. So this is the syntax for creating a table in which one of the column is the primary key, the second column is not null, and the third is also not null. Okay, we can also link and create a foreign key referencing. And for that we need to have two tables. In these two tables, one column has to be the common one. So this common column will be primary key of the second table, and in this first column it will be termed as a foreign key. So how do we do? Let's say we have another table which is employee, or let's say student here. So while creating the student table, okay, so we have to already create the department table in the beginning because we need that to be primary key. Only then it can become the foreign key in the other table, isn't it? So we need to define this table first, and then when we are defining this table, it will be int, ID. Let's say one of the column name is ID, which is of integer type and primary key. It is the primary key here. And then we have roll number, enrollment number, name, address, and we also have DEPT ID. So I'll just go back to the diagram for explaining you this. You can see here, this is the table: ID, roll number, name, enrollment number, address, and DEPT ID. So this is the foreign key here, isn't it? And this DEPT ID is also the primary key of the department table. Okay, this department table is primary key in the department. This DEPT ID is primary key in the department table, whereas this is also foreign key here. These two can be different in names. That is absolutely fine. Here it is DEPT ID. Let's say here it is department ID. The names can vary, doesn't matter, but you have to understand this is the same column. Here it is primary, here it is not primary. So here it will be called as foreign key. So that's what we are defining here when we are trying to create the second table, which is student. So here we have defined all the columns, but in the last one we'll write the column name, space the data type, and then foreign key references. So we are telling that from where we are actually extracting this table, this column. So you have saying foreign key references, and then we have to tell the table name, and in that table what is the name of that column. So in department table, the name of this column is DEPT ID. So that's how we are actually creating foreign key. We can do it in our own tables also, and we'll use it, but for now you have to understand that this is how we are actually creating primary key and foreign key. So we'll do it actually in our tables, but let's move forward with a few slides and see what's more there. Now, difference between primary and unique key. So we have seen that, okay, primary key has to be unique and they have to be non-duplicate, that is the meaning of unique, and also not null, that you cannot leave it empty. So that is primary key, but unique key is like, it's also unique, it has to be non-duplicate, but one of the rows can be empty, it can be null. So that's what primary key and unique key is all about. So here's the tabular differentiation. So they can't accept null values. Primary key cannot accept null values, whereas unique key can accept only one null value. And then we are saying that by default primary key is clustered index. Okay, clustered index, indexing is a way in which an index is associated with the data in the database, so that the search of results, the searching process becomes faster. So the primary key is by default a clustered index, and the data in the database table is physically organized in sequence of clustered indexes, whereas in unique key is a non-clustered index. So that is one more difference. Now we can have only one primary key, that is, that is a mandate, that we can only have one primary key in one table, whereas we can have multiple unique keys in a table. Also, primary key can be made foreign key into another table. That's what we have seen in the previous slide, that one primary key which was DEPT ID in one of the tables which was department, it became foreign key in the student table. So that's about difference between primary and unique key. Moving forward, so we have seen how to create primary key already, but how to create unique key, you have to just use the keyword unique in front of whichever column you want to make it as unique key. Okay, now difference between foreign and primary key, if you quickly just check the differences between them two. So primary key uniquely identifies any record in the table. Yes, we have seen that, like suppose we want to uniquely find out any information about a student, we'll use the primary key most of the time, because then only it can uniquely fetch that particular row which we want to update, delete, whatever we want to do with that data. So it uniquely identifies. Foreign key is a field in a table that is primary key in another table. We have seen that. It might not be unique. We have seen that in the student table, the DPT ID were repetitive, because more than one student can belong to the same department, isn't it? So it might not be unique at all. Primary key can't accept null values. Yes, if it is a primary key, you cannot leave it empty. But in case of foreign key, it can accept multiple null values. If you're not, maybe some student is not having any department for the time being, so those students will have null as the entry in the DPT ID column. So that is how it has to be understood. Again, primary key is clustered index, and here foreign key do not automatically create an index. Okay, so that is yet another difference. We can have only one primary key in a table. We can have more than one foreign keys in a table. So that is also very important difference. We have seen how to define the primary key and the foreign key. Okay. Okay. Now let's go back to our table and see how can we actually define primary key and foreign key there. Here is our table. So we have the EMP table. I'll just quickly run select star from table name so that we can see what data we have. Select star from employee I'm doing. So it will fetch me all the data which I have in the employee table, and select star from department if I'm doing, it will fetch me all the data which I have in the department table. Now, since creation of these tables has been done without any foreign key or any primary key indication, we don't have any foreign key or primary key marked in these tables. We have to create new tables if you want to see the foreign key and primary key. Okay, so let's do that. Let's create a department table first, which is having primary key as the DPT ID. So what we'll do, we'll create department table which will have all these three: DPT ID, DPT name. So we'll see DPT name and HOD, okay, and we'll make DPT ID as the primary key, right? So let me just write here in the notes section so that it's very clear that we'll create two tables. The first table name will be department. The columns, okay, so I'm just writing here table name is department, and the columns which are there in the table will be DPT ID, okay, then DPT name, department name, HOD. We can have these three columns, that is fine, and DPT ID will be of integer type, okay, and we'll make this as the primary key. Let's write DPT name as again in varchar, and let's make it as not null, okay. So we want this DPT name to be not null. So these are the initial criteria which we are fixing for the two tables, and HOD name will be nothing, it will be just varchar. We don't want, it can be null and everything, so that's fine, okay. So that's how we are defining the department table. Now let's create second table, student. Now, so columns here will be, so we want to have columns, hang on, ID. So ID will be int, of course, and it will be primary key here, okay. Then we'll have another column which will be name. So we can have first name, last name, or simple name. We can just mention name, student name. So name, which will be a varchar, of course, and name we can keep it as not null if you want to, otherwise it's fine. Then we'll have address, maybe varchar, then we can have gender, which is important, varchar, just F and M we can write, so that's fine. And then we can also have salary, of course we should have salary. Okay, this is student table, so we can just avoid salary part maybe for now, that's fine. Marks, okay, so how much marks, total marks they are achieving, that's fine, that can be integer. And we can also have department ID, okay, department ID, which is the primary key in the previous table. Here it is the foreign key, so we have to make it as foreign key here. So it will be in type, of course, so we'll be writing foreign key references, now what you are referring to, you are referring to department table. In that, the primary key which you want to actually link it to here is DPT ID there. So there it is DPT ID, and the table name is department. Here you want to name it as department ID, full department ID, which will be of integer type. So that's how we'll be actually creating the foreign key references. So that, and here this primary key, this is primary key, not null, and this is foreign key. So these are the structure of the table which you want to make. So let's first make the department table, okay. I'll go back to my workbench. I'll start creating my table, department table. So how do I do that? So create table name, we know that, right? So the table name is department, so it will be showing us error, but it will just make it quickly because that was notes, and here I'm just writing the query. So create table, table name, then you have to have all the column names. So that's, there should be a bracket for that, isn't it? So I'll just remove all these and close the bracket, and there's a double quote, semicolon. Now I have to just check the syntax clear properly. Create table, table name is department. So we already have department table in this database. Okay, so we can just name it as department new, or we have to just change the name of the table because we already have a department table in this database, which is this one. So what we can do is create table department 2. Okay, we're creating a second table which is of department. So I'm just writing department new, or maybe, or departments. I can just put one S. So departments, okay, that is also making the name unique, so that's fine. So this is having 3 columns. One is DEPT ID, which is integer type of course, and primary key at the same time. It is having department name, which is varchar, and which is also not null. You have to mandatorily fill, and then HOD, which is who is varchar. So I'll just execute this query and see if it is successfully executing. Yes, it got executed. And if I just quickly do select star from departments, because this is departments, so we will get the 0 results now because we don't have anything in the departments. We'll insert also. Okay. Now before inserting, let's create another table which is having foreign key as this. Okay, so let's do that. So you can see here it's all null, null, null. Let's create this another table in different tabs so that you can understand the difference between the two. Okay. I'll just copy these requirements. These are notes actually, so they will show error, but we will quickly edit them. Okay, so my syntax is create table student. Okay, then after that I have to put 2 brackets, and whatever data we have, I'll put here. So ID, which is of integer type and which is the primary key. Now name is something which is a keyword, so I have to just write maybe student name. Okay, just to make it not any keyword. So student name, which is varchar, and 256, which is also not null at the same time. Then we have address, which is varchar, and then we have gender, which is varchar again, and then we have marks, which is integer, and then we have department ID. The name of the column is department ID. Now to create a table with the foreign key references, we have to follow the following syntax. So create table, table name, and which is the student is the table name, and then all the column names along with their data type and if any constraints you want to add. So we'll go back to the notes and we'll see the column names. Column names are ID, student name, we cannot use name because name is a keyword. So student name, address, gender, marks, and then department ID. Okay. Achha, the first table's name was departments, you have to remember, because we already had department table. So this is departments. So we have to actually write departments here, then it will work. Okay, so we have to mention create table, table name, and then all the column names, ID, which is of integer type, we have made it as the primary key. Then student name, which is varchar and not null, also we have mentioned it. Then we have address, which is of varchar type, and then we have gender, which is again varchar. We have marks, integer, and then the department ID, which is yet another integer column, but we are writing foreign key and we are making it the foreign key. And what is the column name? Department ID. And references, which table? Which is departments table. Inside that, what is the column name which is common? DEPT ID. So when we run this, we'll get a successful result, and when we do a select star from students, we'll see 0 result sets now. So we can see that the table got, okay, select star from student, not students. So when we run the table, we'll get 0 result sets. Null, null, null. Everything is null. Okay, so that's how we have successfully created the two tables. One is departments and the second is student. Okay, and now we'll insert data into the table and then we can see more into it. So let's quickly insert some data into both the tables so that we can check the relation between them. So what we'll do, we'll actually first insert data into the departments table. So insert data, we'll use this query. So for insertion, we know what is the syntax, right? So insert into table name values. So insert into table name is departments. So we have to write all the column names here. So column names are DEPT ID, DEPT name and HOD. Okay, these are the column names. And then values, so 1, and then let's say manual testing, and Kripa is the HOD name. Similarly, I can just insert more values. So I can simply use this. Okay. Okay. So we'll just change it quickly. We want to make it primary key, so we have to insert all unique data in this. Because it is primary key, it will not allow any duplication here. Okay, now so one second is Selenium or security, maybe performance testing. We can put in any data, that's fine. Selenium. HOD's name will change. I've changed the HOD's name. We'll run this query quickly and then run a select star from. So now I'll do this and see how the data is entered into the table. So that's how our table look like. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then manual testing, security testing, performance testing, Selenium, and all the HOD's name. Similarly, we'll insert data into the other table, and we have to make sure that the department IDs which are here are used there. Okay, so we can have some more department IDs created so that I can show you how the values can be repeated there also. Now what we do, we quickly insert 1 or 2 more rows so that we can see more permutation and combination of result sets. Okay. Five API. I'm just changing some random names. Six is maybe we can just name it as SQL. And the person name is same, let's say Shreya only. So the one person can be HOD of 2 departments, that's fine. Just remove them. I'll run these 2 queries. And we'll just do a select star. And we can see that we have 5 rows now. Now I'll quickly go back to this table and insert data into the table. So I can just use the insert queries which we have used earlier. Now, here we go. So the name of the table is student this time. And all the, we have to mention all the column names properly. ID, comma, student name, Then we have address. Then we have gender. Then we have marks. And then we have department ID. This is the foreign key here, right? Department ID. Yeah. So we have mentioned everything. We'll mention values. And we'll just keep mentioning, like, let's say that the roll number is 101. Let's say ID of the person. Atul Gupta is the name. Fine, atul.gupta. Okay, we don't have email address here now. No problem. We'll just use. Okay, so we don't have first name, last name also. So we can just use Atul this time. Okay. And then after first name there is address of the person. So let's say we'll just mention the address as Kolkata for this person. Okay. And then this person's gender. So gender, what we can do, we can just write male, female. So male, we can write like this. And marks of the person. So out of 100, let's say we just mention 70 for this person. And the department ID we have to mention, right? Isn't it? We have to mention the department ID. So this time this person is from, let's say, this person is from, let's say, manual testing department. So in this, manual testing is department number 1. Okay. So I've just mentioned 1 here. Okay. So we have done that. Now quickly we'll go. So we have seen that, okay, everything we're inserting, the ID, the name of the person, the address of the person, and then there is gender, which is male, then marks, which is 70, department ID is 1. Okay, so we'll quickly run this query and see the insertion is correct or not. And then we'll insert more rows into it. So if I just do a select star from student, I should be having one data set into it. So yes, we have seen that everything is perfectly fine. Similarly, what we'll do, actually this one is taken from there because we have already done foreign key referencing, right? So that is from there. Now I'll quickly insert more data into the table. Control V. Okay, comma, okay. Now let's say this guy, we have different people, right? So let's say we'll just create 4-5 roll numbers. So 102 is a person whose name is Sheetal. And this person is from Delhi and female, and the marks obtained is 80. And this person is from second department, which is security testing. Okay, and the third person is Richa, and the person is from Kolkata again. The person is female and has secured some 90 marks, let's say, and is from the same department as that of Sheetal, which is security testing. Okay, so I'm just showing that we can have repetitive this thing, foreign key, as in this was primary key in some other table. So now roll number 4 is another person whose name is Salil. This guy is from Mumbai. And then is male, and the marks which he's obtained is 60, and he is from another department, which is 3. So department number 3 is here performance testing. Okay, the person is from performance testing team. Fine. Now this person, roll number 5, his name is Harsha. This she is a lady and she is from Delhi again. So we can have this repeated, right? Address can be same. And she is female and she got 70 marks only. And she is from department number 4. Okay. So we have to add more because we need people repeating the departments. Control C. So I will just add 3-4 more rows. Control V. Okay. So after roll number 5, Harsha, we have to write roll number 6 will be Hina. Who is from Jaipur. And she's also female. She secured some 100 marks, 100 out of 100. And she's from the same department as that of 2 maybe. Or this is person number 6, 7, whose name is Ash. And she is from any city, let's say Jaipur itself, doesn't matter. And female and 70 or 60 whatever percentage, and the department she belonging to is 2 again, like some departments having a lot of students. Person number 8 is okay, the person is having the same name, let's say Harsha itself, and she's from Kerala. And okay, this is city name, so we cannot write the state name, so let's name it as Bangalore. And this person is female. The marks is some 90, and is from another department, which is department number 5, let's say. So department number 5 here is API testing. Okay, so just mentioned here, and then we'll change okay, we'll change it here for Harsha. Now last, department 109. This person is Harry, who is from Jammu. Is male and secured some 85% and is belonging to department number 5 itself. Okay, so we have all the data set. We'll just run the query and we'll do a select star and see what is the, just a second, there's some error in our query. We'll just check that quickly. So we have this okay, values are fine, comma, comma, comma. Quickly we'll check if any errors we can see. Okay, so we have a duplicate entry. Okay, so see, the error itself is saying that you have a duplicate entry 101. You're trying to enter something which is 101 and it's already entered. So that's primary key you're not allowing you to enter because we have already entered Atul, right? So we have to make it as 110. And then the person name we can change also. We can just name the person as Priyank. And this person is from Hyderabad. And male also, this person is secured some 50% marks and is from which department? Let's say that we'll make it this person belonging to department number 4. Okay, so we'll run this query. So that's how primary key is useful. it got executed successfully. We'll just do a select star and see what is the results. So you can see here we have student table, all 1 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 students are there. We have different names, 2 people having same name as in Harsha and Harsha. And then we have addresses which can be repetitive, duplicate. We have genders which will be male or female. Then we have marks, and then we have department ID. This is from the foreign key referencing from the different table, which is departments table. So 1 2 2. So this person is from manual testing, they are from security testing. This person 3 is from performance testing, fine. Then we have 4. 4 means the person is from Selenium, and then so many manual testing, and then API, and then APIs, but nobody is from this last SQL testing, nobody is from. Okay, so that's how we have just made the referencing. So we'll use these 2 tables to learn joins in the upcoming videos. Okay, so we'll use them for learning inner join, outer join, everything in the next videos. For now, thank you. We'll meet in the next session.